Hi everybody, my name is Kirsty Ward and you're joining me today down on my little allotment. Now it is Sunday the 3rd of March and it is quite a grey day. It was absolutely freezing this morning, but it's definitely cheered up a little bit now. So you're joining me on my allotment plot here in Lincoln in the UK. But you may be thinking, hold on a minute, you haven't got a polytunnel on your allotment. Well, what you don't know is my dad has an allotment right next to mine, and a few years ago we both decided that we were going to share a polytunnel. So the polytunnel has actually been built on his allotment. We've had it maybe 3 or 4 years, but we just definitely haven't utilised the space whatsoever. So I thought it'd be really good to do a YouTube video about what the polytunnel looks like inside, the ideas we have for the polytunnel, and show you a little bit about what I'm doing today. However, there has been a major moment where I've actually filmed this whole video already, and I don't think I've had enough sleep last night, which I didn't. I only got 3 hours, but basically I filmed the whole thing vertically instead of horizontally. So I'm feeling angry and annoyed. So the idea is, I could just upload the vertical one, but it's really not great viewing. Or I'm going to refilm. So I'm currently refilming my, 40-minute video that I've already just done. So yeah, it's not going to be the same because the stuff that I wanted to show you what I was doing has already been done. But this is the reality of not having enough sleep and trying to do too many things at once. But anyway, let me show you inside the polytunnel. So now you're joining me inside the polytunnel. I'm going to show you this side first. Now, you're going to have to bear with me a little bit because the polytunnel was in a little bit of a state. I might just do a little snippet of what these raised beds look like just before. It's obviously going to be turned the other way, but I wanted to basically do a little video showing you all about the polytunnel, all about our plans, and then getting these raised beds sorted and ready for growing. Now, the raised beds were filled with a really awful compost basically that has been in here drying for 3 years with not a lot in it. So it's time to sort of get that all revitalised and replenished. So I've taken half of the compost out of each of these 3 beds. As you can see, the beds go back, there's actually 5 of them. But what I've done so far is I've emptied out half of the beds, put all that spent compost on an allotment bed outside of my dad's plot. I've done, as you can see here, this golden, oh my gosh, bless me. I've added some lovely golden mulch to the beds first, just like a thin layer over the top. Now, mulch is full of goodness. It's got lots of nutrients and stuff, so that will add a nice nutrient boost for the next few months of growing. And then on top, I have added to the beds, not all of them yet because I've not finished, is some multi-purpose compost. And I use peat-free multi-purpose compost. I use Rocket Grow. This is the peat-free multi-purpose with added Johniness, and then also the Rocket Grow mulch. I use all of the Rocket Grow products. I do a bit of work with them, so it's great because obviously I absolutely love compost, and it's really great varieties and really great compost that I love using. So emptied the beds, added a nice layer of mulch, and then I've topped them up with the multi-purpose compost. I'm going to add a bit more multi-purpose compost to these beds. This bag of multi-purpose was just a little bit wet. I unfortunately had to store all my compost outside, and one of these bags has just got a little bit wet, so I'll leave this to dry out. But I'm going to top them up a bit more with the multi-purpose compost, and then I'm going to sow lots of seeds in them and hopefully just get a little bit of an earlier crop of things like salad, beetroot, radish, spring onions, lettuce, whatever you want. So that is the plan. And obviously I'm going to get these 3 beds done. but there are these other 2 beds a bit further down. There's a few things that need to go in my dad's shed. We've got all of these lovely little plants. We've got primroses, pansies and lavender, like little plants that we're growing on. We've got them like little plug plants from Thompson and Morgan. You know when they always do them for like really cheap, don't they? Like big bundles. So my dad grows all those on and adds them to his like gardening projects. There is a water butt up here that we'll be hooking up and maybe attach some sort of drip system. So I'm going to turn the camera around just to show you the other side and let you know what we're doing over the other side. Now you're joining me over the other side. Now at the back of the polytunnel, we're going to remove like all the shelves and stuff, and my dad's going to build a solid shelf potting bench style thing at the back. That's going to be somewhere he can grow his flowers and pot on and stuff like that. So we need to remove like all of the rubbish and stuff from the back. These 4 white boxes need to go out. They are some new metal raised beds for my allotment, so I'll get those built and on my allotment. And you know, there's just some bits and bobs in here that basically need clearing out, so we'll get that done. I've also very excitedly got a peach and a nectarine tree at the back here. Now these peach and nectarine trees are like mini ones. They're in tubs. I do need to top them up with a bit more compost, but they are going to stay in the polytunnel because I just think it'll help them hopefully grow and ripen some fruit. So they're going to go on these stones once all this stuff's taken out. Now we've got this like these wooden beam bits going across, and I don't know if you can see, but we've got like the string hanging down, and normally we'd grow tomatoes across here. There's room for like 15 tomatoes. However, tomatoes and cucumbers don't grow very well together in spaces like polytunnels and greenhouses. So what I'm going to do this year is just grow all of my tomatoes in my greenhouses, and then all my outdoor tomatoes outside in my garden at home or on the allotment outside. And then in here we're going to do cucumbers, mini and large cucumbers. We're going to do loofahs, and then I'm going to use the other space to grow some aubergines and sweet peppers in pots. Now I'm not going to do any chilies in here because all my chili plants are going to go, they'll all be at home in my greenhouse. Chili plants only need smaller pots, so it's easier to fit them in my small greenhouse at home. So that is the plan. Obviously, this always happens to me, I'm so clumsy. Obviously there's quite a lot of work to do in here in terms of clearing stuff out, giving it a good tidy, and obviously getting those raised beds finished. So what I'm going to do is finish topping those raised beds up with mulch and multi-purpose compost, get 3 of them done, and then I'm going to sow some seeds, which is really exciting because obviously I've sown lots of seeds at home inside, but nothing outside yet. The other 2 raised beds, my dad needs to clear all of his stuff off there. He's got like plant pots and stuff you can put in his shed, and then all of those flowers need to go to the projects that they're going to, and then I can come in and get that done. So all of the spent compost that was in these beds has gone outside, and obviously I'm filling them up with that fresh new compost, and it smells so nice in here now. It just smells of mulch. But I'm really excited to get this space going. Now we've had this polytunnel for a few years and we just haven't really utilised the space properly basically, or we haven't really had the time to come in here and grow. We've just sort of shoved some tomatoes in and left them to it. But like we both have obviously allotments, and you get so busy with that, like this space just hasn't really been used. But this year we are going to grow lots. It's going to be the year of the polytunnel. So I'm super excited to show you like what we do, what we're growing, what we're doing, you know, potting things on in here and sowing successionally, and basically just how well we get on. So if you have a polytunnel, please let me know what you love and what you don't love about your polytunnel. Like I'd really like to know. One thing I know from the summer is when you're coming in the polytunnel to water in the summer, you're in here for like 2 minutes and you are dripping with sweat, like it's so warm. So I'm not so keen when it's really hot. But yeah, let me know what you love and what you don't love about your polytunnels. And if you've got any questions or whatever, please put them in the comments. I'm going to go and finish these raised beds, and then what I'll do is when I'm sowing some seeds, I'm going to film that bit and I'll have another chat with you about what I'm sowing and what I'm growing. And yeah, I'm just excited to see how it goes and excited to bring you on the journey. It's just a shame that I've had to film this twice. How silly of me. I can't believe it. I've got my microphone charged up, I've done my plot tour already, and then I've filmed this facing the wrong way. I'm sure somebody's probably going to tell me I could have like changed it. But anyway, I'm refilming. So, right, I'm going to get on. Got these beds up now with some multi-purpose compost on top of the mulch and get these 3 finished. Well, I'm really pleased with that. That's 3 of the raised beds sorted. I'm going to get some seeds sown in them, and then I've just got 2 more to do, but it's going to be such a great growing space. I mean, it's amazing because obviously it's all raised up. My dad built the pallet bench underneath and then put the pallet collars on, but it's just so great that it's raised up and just easy accessible. I'm so excited about this polytunnel growing journey this year. It's going to be really fun. Good morning everyone. Now I am back in the polytunnel to finish off this video. I've had a few days in between because unfortunately I've not been feeling very well at all. So I'm in the polytunnel. The beds are prepped. As you can see, these first 3 beds. Still got 2 more to do at the end, but I've got a little bit more clearing to do on them first. So what I'm going to do today is sow some seeds. Now I'm going to sow in the first bed, and then in another sort of week or so, 2 weeks, I'm going to sow in the next bed, and then so on and so forth, just so I've got a little bit more successional sowing. So I've already written out my labels now. I'm one of those people that goes, oh, I'll sow it, I remember what it is, and then I never do because we sow thousands of seeds and my brain is rather small. So I've already wrote out my labels. So I'm going to be sowing lots of like salady things. So I've got rocket, spinach, we've got spring onions, 2 types of radish, we've got some smaller like carrots, some lettuce leaves and some beetroot. Now, sorry if it's really windy, I have got my I think I've just knocked it. Make sure it's still on. Yeah, I have got my microphone on, but it is sort of wobbling my phone stand a little bit because I've had to just place it slightly outside of the polytunnel. So I might be able to move that in a little bit actually, just so it doesn't fall over. So anyway, got my seeds, got my labels, and I'm just going to sow these into these beds. Now, the beds have been obviously topped up with multi-purpose compost, and I've just let that settle. So basically, going to sow them and then give them a water, and hopefully we'll see germination quite quickly in here because it is very warm in this polytunnel, even though I can't remember the last time I saw any sunshine. I've just popped the camera at this level so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to start off right on the edge, and I always just use this part of my hand just to make a line up to the top, and I'm just going to do a nice line of salad leaves, lettuce salad leaves in this part. I have loads of seeds. Got a lot of my seeds this year from Simply Seed, and then I've got a lot of seeds left over from last year. I think I went to Wilko in the sale and got lots of things like lettuce. I think these were all down to like 20p, which is great. So I'm just going to sow these. Obviously lettuce leaf. Seeds are very small, as you can see, but because I'm going to sow quite a few because these are not like lettuce heads, they're lettuce leaves, so you can just sort of like cut them off and take them with you. So I'm going to sow quite a few really in this area. So a nice sprinkling of those down there, and then I'll put the rest back in the packet, and there's probably enough for another line of those. But what I'll do is I'll sow those in about a week's time, just so it's a little bit more of like a successional sowing of the lettuce. So hopefully I can pick that at different times. Now, next that I'm going to do the beetroot. I've never grown beetroot in a polytunnel. I mean, I haven't grown a lot in the polytunnel. Normally, actually, it's just, I normally just grow like tomatoes and stuff, but wanted to make use of these raised beds and grow, you know, like salady stuff that I use quite a lot of. But yeah, so I'm going to do beetroot. Now these are that nice variety with the rings in them. I think they look so pretty. Now beetroot seeds are a little bit bigger, so you're able to, well, not everyone, but most people are able to sort of pick these ones up, and you can just sort of space them out, and that just saves you a little bit of time, because then you don't need to be thinning them out. Or you can just chuck a load in the line and thin them out. It's up to you. The other thing with beetroot is you can sort of grow them clumped together as well. So it's up to you. So I've spaced them out, and then I'm going to put some in between each and let them grow sort of like clogged up together. That's fine. And it just gives me more chance of making sure I get germination with those as well. But everyone's preference is different. Like, you can do whatever you want, really. Sow them however you want, whatever makes you happy. You don't have to follow what other people do. Hello. Okay, and then I'm going to go for some radish. We're going for, these ones are French breakfast. I'm probably going to have to go, like, with the amount of things that I want to sow, I'm just going to obviously leave a bit more room between the beetroot, just because the beetroot can grow quite big. And then I'm going to do some radish. French breakfast ones. Obviously these seeds, again, they're slightly smaller than the beetroot seeds. You can get little tools to help you, but I just try to sow mine directly, but with gaps, just because I find that easier, because it saves me a job coming back and thinning them out. Because at that point, when things start growing, I've already got enough stuff to do. Like, I've got hundreds of things to do on the allotment, and loads of weeding to do, and watering, and seed sowing, and whatever. I mean, like, you're never going to get it perfect. There's always going to be an odd couple that are in there, and I just then chuck a couple more in just for safe measure. So that's the radish in. So we've got salad leaves, beetroot, and we've got radish. I'm then going to do a line of rocket. Now the rocket's going to go a little bit closer to the radish, just because both the radish and the rocket are quite small, so it doesn't really matter like how close they are together. They'll grow quite well. Now when you've got like little seeds, if you don't know, just like flick the top of the packet, and that will just send all the seeds to the bottom, making it a little bit easier. Now rocket, a bit like the lettuce, you can just sow loads of it really, because it will just grow bunched together. So I'm just gonna put lots of seeds in this line as well. And I think that's the great thing, if you can get like your rocket and your spinach and your lettuce leaves for cheap, that's great, because you do sow like a lot of the packet of the seeds. I mean, realistically, if you wanted to, you could put this whole packet in. So always look for cheap seeds at the end of the season, especially like lettuce and stuff, ready for next year. Now I've got enough space to pop a couple more things, but I think I'm just gonna space it out slightly. So I'm gonna do a line of spinach closest to the edge, because it doesn't need as much room, and then in between I'm gonna do a line of spring onions. Like, you can fit loads in, lots and lots. I feel weird not being able to see you. So we're gonna go salad onions, spring onions in the middle. These are very small seeds again, so you know, if you struggle with like using your hands and that, you can get some tools that are really good to help you seed sow. Or you could do it where you just sow lots of seeds and then thin them out, whatever works for you, whatever's easiest. Now, the spring onion seeds are black, so they're very hard to see when you put them in the soil as well. I just do a little sprinkling method, just sprinkle them on. Do you know what? It's quite nice just to have a go, like chuck them in, see how you get on. Because honestly, like it is that simple. Don't have to overcomplicate things. Anyway, and then we're going to go for spinach at the end. Again, this is one of my Wilco's. I'm sure they were like 10p at the end or 20p, which is great. So spinach to finish off this part of the bed. Now the spinach seeds are much bigger, so they're quite easy to sort of like space. And so the spinach seeds have gone in now. If you read the back of the spinach pack, it says sow seeds in beds in rows 30 centimetres apart, which is 12 inches. Now that's a lot of spacing, you know. Realistically, I'm not very good at measurements, but you know, if you were to go from this side to that side, that's how much space you would, you know, leave, like maybe half of this bed between the next line of spinach seeds. Now obviously I've sown things really quite close together, and I'll update you and show you how well they've grown this close together and how much you can actually cram into like a small bed. Anyway, so you want to cover them up, cover the seeds up, just lightly dust some compost over them. You've normally got like the compost sort of just raised up on the other side of where you've done your little lines with the side of your hand. So just brush that back over where you've taken the groove out, and just put that compost back on the top, and just give it, you don't have to pat it down, but just make sure it's just nicely covered. And then you want to give it a water. So obviously I've brushed all of the compost back over the grooves that I made with my hand. The seeds are in there, it's covered with compost, so now you want to give it a water. You're going to want to use a watering can that has a really nice like rose head on, so when it waters there's not too much direct force from the watering can that's going to then send the soil everywhere and the seeds everywhere. So you want something that's just nice and gentle over the top, so I'll show you that. Now obviously, like I was saying, you know, this is the bed that I've sown. This is exactly the same size. These are those pallet collars, and obviously in one of those I've put some lettuce, beetroot, radish, rocket, salad onion and spinach. Now if I followed what it said on the packet, I wouldn't be putting that much in, but obviously I've crammed quite a lot into one bed, so I'll show you over the course of the next like week, couple of weeks, month, how that grows and how well it will do in a smaller space. Now obviously it's in a polytunnel, so I've got to make sure that I'm watering it more. So if you've got a polytunnel or a greenhouse, you've got to make sure that you're at your allotment more to come and basically make sure everything is hydrated well. So I've put those in. I have also got carrots and a different radish that I'm going to start on the next bed. I'm just going to pop those in just so I've got a bit of everything that I want. Now, carrots obviously do like a more sandy soil, so if you're going to do big long carrots, you want to make sure you've got nice beds that are prepared with sandy sort of soil, because it just makes it easier for the carrots to grow. Now I'm growing these carrots, which are like just the smaller stubbier carrots, so a little bit easier for them to grow. Now carrot seeds are very small again, so I'm going to just try and spread them out as much as possible, but I will be thinning the carrot seeds out. Just really excited because I've never really grown anything in this polytunnel properly, so I'm really excited to give it a go, especially in the raised beds. Like I said, I've grown, you know, tomatoes and cucumbers and things in here before, but you know, like the bigger plants, but not not anything in these beds. It's exciting. Anyway, just rambling on now. Right, okay, so the next lot of radish going in. Cover these up, get all this watered, everything's labelled, so I should remember what it is. So then when I harvest it, and I show you on my next YouTube video at some point, maybe next month, I can be like, look, I've harvested my radish, which are called albina. Is that right? If I can read my writing. Anyway, so cover them up. I'm just gonna quickly go and get my watering can. Get them watered. And then that is this, all ready to go. Okay, I'm back with my watering can. Now this watering can has a good, I think you call them like a rose part on this bit. So when you water, it's nice and gentle. Whoop. So I'm just gonna give the seeds a really good water to help them germinate. Now, obviously it's very warm in the polytunnel, even when the sun isn't shining. So I'm going to need to make sure that I come down and water regularly until like everything's germinated. Now, I'm down here tomorrow anyway, so I'm going to check to see if it needs a bit more water. But obviously the last thing I want to do is like the seeds and the compost dry out, you know. Well, the compost dry out because there's not enough water to germinate the seeds. So I've watered them nice and gently, and hopefully you will see germination. I mean, normally, let's have a look, like things like the beetroot, you'll probably see germination within, let me have a look at something else. Yeah, so like rocket, spinach, things like that, normally like germination within 7 to 14 days. So hopefully we're looking in the next week or two to see lots of green growing. So I'll make sure I keep you updated on the progress. I've also got some shallots that need to go in. So I'm actually going to put these in the polytunnel, hopefully to give them a bit of a quick boost. And there's loads of room. Like I say, I've got these 3 beds that are ready. I've got another 2 beds that I haven't even prepped yet. So I've got loads of room in here, so I'm going to put these shallots in as well. I hope you've enjoyed the little polytunnel tour, seeing what I've done to prep the beds, and obviously sowing seeds. I can't wait to keep you updated with the progress of the polytunnel over the next few months. It's really exciting. Still got a lot of work to do in here, but it's going to be really exciting. I hope you're enjoying watching my YouTube channel. If you are, please subscribe. And if you could like this video or leave a comment of anything that you want to see or things you might want me to grow in here, or just any kind of videos you want to see down on my allotment, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.